They say there's no proof, that you're crazy for believing. But monsters are real. The following was posted to a popular forum about cryptids, strange animals whose existence is unconfirmed. The topic about one particular cryptid that is famous for roaming the American wilderness prompted this comment from one of the users who claimed to have encountered it. Names and locations have been changed to protect the survivors. Out of respect for the dead, the events remain unchanged.
You want to eat your maid of honor? Francine asked. Francine wasn't friends with the bride like the rest of us. She was the groom's sister, and Nina had begrudgingly let her into the bridal party as a favor to her future in-laws. That being said, she never missed an opportunity to make her feel like an outsider. Even now, as we were starving and freezing to death in the forest, Nina was taking jabs at the poor girl. I was part of a bachelorette party whose helicopter had gone down in the middle of nowhere while on a scenic tour of the English countryside. There were 6 of us. Nina, Mandy, Margaret, Francine, and myself, and then there was Candace. She hadn't been as lucky as the rest of us. She broke her back in the crash and had been slipping in and out of consciousness for days. We took turns carrying her through the woods on a makeshift stretcher fashioned from the wreckage. If we want to live, then we have to, eat her. I mean, she's slowing us down anyway. Besides, she's a total bummer to look at, Nina had said. She was as serious as the mascara running down her face. Nobody is eating anyone, Francine said, as she fiddled with the bracelet on her wrist. Then she laid herself across the maid of honor's broken body. Francine, you better move. I'm hungry, and if you can't, understand that, then maybe you should be the one we eat. Francine didn't budge. Nina ordered the M's to hold Francine down as Nina hovered over her best friend like a vulture. It's for the best that Candace was unconscious at the time. I couldn't imagine the screams if she had been awake while Nina drove rusty scrap metal into her abdomen. The bride dove in head first. Within moments, she had sliced open Candace's stomach and started chewing on her intestines. Francine yelled and tried her hardest to squirm out from under the M's. Save some for us, one of the M's yelled out. Upon hearing this, Nina suddenly stopped eating from the Candace buffet. Then she let out a terrible scream and fell to the ground as if she had just been shot. Then she started tearing the flesh from her face. The M's were in shock, and Francine was able to wiggle out from their grasp. We all watched as Nina transformed into something else. An antler sprouted from her forehead, and their skull grew and literally ripped her face in half. She howled out into the air like an animal. Nina was no longer Nina. She had become something else. More monster than woman. She lunged at us and snatched Mandy's arm. Mandy screamed as the bride turned monster, sunk its teeth into her neck, and a fountain of blood shot out. Margaret tried to run, but the monster punched a hole right through her chest and then devoured her heart in one clean move. There was only Francine and myself. There was nowhere to run, surrounded by miles of wilderness. The monster trained its sight onto us. But it was the strangest sight to see a teenager, of all things, in the wilderness, was standing behind the creature. She had fire engine red hair and was wearing a private school uniform that it looked weird. Her face was pale and cracked, with red lips and a rotten smile. She was wielding a field hockey stick like a weapon. The English schoolgirl drove forward and smashed the back of the monster's head. The monster howled in pain and whirled around. It lunged at the girl, but she was able to duck and smash the monster from under the chin with her weapon. The monster swung viciously at the English schoolgirl and growled when it could get a shot in. I glanced over at Francine, and she wasn't surprised by the arrival of the English schoolgirl. She just calmly smiled and played with her bracelet. Did Francine have a connection with the English schoolgirl? I didn't have time to ask. As my survival instincts kicked in, I used the opportunity to run far from the fight. Francine creepily waved goodbye as I ran, and then continued to watch the duel between the monster and the English schoolgirl. I don't know how long I wandered through the forest before I was found by a rescue party. There was a bigger search to look for the other girls' bodies, but none of them were recovered. I still don't know if Francine is out there. It's hard for anyone to believe my story of survival.
Watch new vids every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on Crypt TV.